Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Buckeye Politics. It's me, your favorite Ohioan. So today we're doing the 2022 governor prediction as of today, February 27th, 2022. We're getting close, honestly, to the governorship elections. It's kind of crazy, the governor and Senate elections. It's crazy. It feels like time's really flying. But here we are. It's February. We have the first primaries on Tuesday, 2 days from now, and it's gonna be based. It's gonna be epic. Hopefully, we're going to primary out Greg Abbott. I really doubt it's going to happen, but, one can hope, one can hope. So with that, we're going to start filling in the safe states for the governorship elections for 2022. I do expect the Republican Party to do very well in the governorship elections. I see no reason they're not going to absolutely dominate, especially considering it's a red wave year. We have quite a few vulnerable Democrats, unpopular Democrats, and COVID restrictions are really hurting the Democrats all around the country. We saw it in Virginia. We're going to real quickly fill in Virginia and New Jersey. Both these states were much closer. New Jersey was much closer than expected, but the Democrats still hung on, while Republicans actually flipped the governorship in the state of Virginia with Glenn Youngkin. I'm assuming you all know that, but anyway. With that, let's start filling in the safe states for the Republican Party. I expect the Republicans to win in Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, Alaska, Texas, Iowa, and Ohio I'm iffy on. I'm going to put Ohio as safe red for now. Obviously, the Republicans are also going to win by safe margins in Vermont and New Hampshire because there are liberal Rockefeller Republicans that are up for election there. They're very popular. They've won by huge margins in the past. So these two states may be very liberal northeastern states. They do have Republican governors that win by large margins. So with that, we're going to start filling the safe Democrat states, and they include states of Oregon, California, Hawaii, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maryland. Illinois is going to be interesting. I'm putting Illinois as safe because I use 10-plus margins. Illinois is definitely going to be under 15. I'm not sure it's going to be under 10, though, or I'm iffy on Illinois. So Illinois we're going to put I'm putting a safe D for now, but I would not be surprised if it is. I'm definitely going to be under 15, and I can see it being under 10 as well. I can see Oregon going going likely D, but for now it's going to be safe D. I would not be. That could easily change, though. As well as the state of Colorado, actually, Jared Polis is very popular there. I think he's going to win by just more than 10 points. Actually, I'm not really sure about Colorado. I'm going to put Colorado as likely. Jared Polis is very popular, but because of just how big of a red wave year it's going to be, I don't think he's going to lose I don't think he's going to lose. So I'm putting Colorado in the likely D column. I think Jared Polis will probably win re-election by like 6-7 points. He is very popular, but because it's going to be a red wave year, I think it is going to be at least semi-competitive. So with that, these are the safe and one likely state for the Democrats. The likely states for the Republicans include states of Kansas, Florida. I want to put Wisconsin. Wisconsin's iffy. I could see Wisconsin being likely R, but I'm not really sure. We're gonna hold off on Wisconsin for now. But I'm putting the states of Kansas and Florida as likely Republican. Kansas, obviously, Laura Kelly is a Democrat. It's gonna be an easy flip for the GOP. Her election was literally a fluke. There was a third-party candidate who took a lot of the vote, and Laura Kelly it was also like a D+8 electorate. So Laura Kelly's going to get absolutely destroyed. She's been very moderate on a lot of issues recently, just because of how big of a red wave year it's looking like it's going to be. But I still think in the end, Laura Kelly she's going to lose by almost 10 points. I would not be surprised if Kansas is safe R, just because Laura Kelly is the incumbent and she's a Democrat, and it was actually rather close in 2018, all the factors considered. I think Kansas is going to probably be like R+8, R+9, but Laura Kelly's going to get absolutely destroyed. Florida, Ron DeSantis is absolutely surging in the polls. There was one poll that had him up by like 21 points against Nikki Fried. I don't think he's going to win by that much, but the fact that there are polls showing him up by that much against Nikki Fried really show that DeSantis is doing an excellent job in Florida. He's kicking ass in the polls, and because of that, I think Florida is going to probably be like around DeSantis is probably going to win re-election by about 9 points. I considered putting Florida as safe, but in the end, I decided not to. I think that it's still going to be a little bit competitive. So I'm going to put Florida, especially considering Florida is like immune to like wave years. So because of that, I think DeSantis is definitely going to win re-election. When I say immune to a wave year, I just mean it's not going to be an absolute landslide. Well, I mean, an R plus winning by 9 points, 9 points in Florida is a landslide, but So these are the likely states for the Republican Party. The likely states for the Democrats include states of Connecticut, And that is it. Connecticut is these Democrats' only likely state. Um, Ned Lamont had a very close race with Bob Stefankowski back in 2018. In a D+8 year, he only won by like a few points. It was actually rather competitive. Let's see, he won by 3 points. Yeah, in 2018, Ned Lamont won by 3 points in a D+8 year against Bob Stefankowski. Now Ned Lamont has done very well in the polls recently. I don't think he's done a good job as governor, but the people of Connecticut do, and that's all that really matters. So because of that, since Bob Stefankowski is challenging him, I think it's going to be close. And because obviously it's going to be Ritter here, I think Connecticut's going to be close. But in the end, I think it's still going to be likely D. Considering Ned Lamont the people of Connecticut really like Ned Lamont based on what I've seen. He's done very well in some polling. So because of that, I do think the state of Connecticut is going to still be likely D. So with that, we have the safe and likely states for the Republican and Democrat parties. So now let's fill in the lean states for the Republicans. I expect the Republicans to win the states of Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Wisconsin, and I'm considering Michigan as well. But there have been a few polls that show Gretchen Whitmer doing okay. I think so. I'm iffy on Michigan. I think we're gonna leave Michigan as is. Michigan's gonna stay. Michigan. We're gonna hold off on Michigan. But yeah, state of Nevada, the DSA. They're bringing out like Nina Turner from my state of Ohio. They're bringing in all these progressives to this working class, suburban, Hispanic, semi-populous state. It's not going to work out well for them. There's a bunch of solid Republicans running for the governorship, and I see absolutely zero reason that Nevada's not going to go red by a lean margin, probably like 2-3 points at this point. Arizona, Carrie Lake, she's surging in the polls. She's going to win their nomination. For the Republicans, and she's going to be an excellent governor of Arizona. All the things they're trying to pull at her about her being invited to AFPAC, they've tried to pull that on so many people. It just doesn't work. Oh, Georgia should not be likely. Georgia should be lean. I apologize for that. I didn't even notice that. Georgia should be lean, but sorry, I just noticed that. But anyway, back to Carrie Lake in Arizona. Like I said, Carrie Lake, she's actually doing rather well in the polls, and they're pulling all the stuff about her being invited to AFPAC. Like, no, who gives a shit about AFPAC? What does your average voter know about AFPAC and Nick Fuentes? I mean, maybe they've heard of him, but probably not much. And Carrie Lake, she's actually done a very good job responding to that. She didn't even go, so like I'm not sure what they're trying to pull there. And she's run a solid campaign. She's getting a lot of donations. The momentum is completely on her side, and because of that, I do expect her to win by like 2-3 points over Katie Hobbs. And yeah, Carrie Lake's going to be a great governor. State of Wisconsin, I'm also putting as a lean R. Tony Evers he's done a horrible job recently. He's pretty much been completely gridlocked with the state legislature, so he doesn't have any accomplishments to gloat in his reelection. Meanwhile, he's had a horrible response to the Waukesha attack. He had a whole response to that, and he's been pretty much gridlocked in the state legislature, so he has nothing to run on. And the Wisconsin's an returning state. The Republicans have some solid nominees, include like Rebecca Kleefisch. I think she's going to be a great governor. I'm really torn between her and Nicholson. I don't really care. They're both solid on the issues, but either one of them is going to beat Evers by around 4, maybe even 5 points. We'll see. But yeah, like I said, Evers has nothing to run on. He's gridlocked in the state legislature, and the Republicans have solid candidates in the year that's going to be very favorable to the Republican Party. So with that, I think Wisconsin's going to be lean Republican. Georgia, similar story. It looks like David Perdue is going to primary out Brian Kemp. I know Brian Kemp has been leading in the polls, but there's a lot of voters that are still undecided. A lot of voters that don't even know David Perdue is endorsed by Trump, and we still have a long way to go. David Perdue is running a very good campaign. I expect he'll pick up some more momentum, and I do expect the Republican Party to win in Georgia by a lean margin. Most likely it will be David Perdue, but even if Brian Kemp gets the nomination, I still think he'll win over Stacey Abrams. Because if David Perdue gets the nomination, then he's going to do very well turning out Republican voters. He's going to do decent with suburbanites because it's a Republican way of year. And, yeah, a lot of Republicans in Georgia don't really like Brian Kemp. But even if Brian Kemp does get the nomination, then just because of how hated Stacey Abrams is by a lot of Georgians, especially in the rural areas and the more Republican-leaning parts of the state, I think Stacey Abrams, just being on the ballot alone, will get enough Republicans to vote for Brian Kemp, leading to Brian Kemp winning by a slimmer margin than David Perdue would win by, but still by about 1 to 2 points. So with that, we have Minnesota, New Mexico, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Maine are the remaining states that we have to fill in. As of now, I do expect the Republican Party to win in just one of these states, and that's the state of Michigan. I think it's going to tilt to the Republican Party. Um, Gretchen Whitmer, there have been some polls that show Gretchen Whitmer doing okay, like she's actually leading by decent margins, but I'm not really sure how accurate those polls are. She's been easing a lot of restrictions recently. She's kind of been out of the mainstream. The Republicans haven't been running as many attack ads as I think they're going to in November, and because of that, Gretchen Whitmer is polling decently. But there are some solid Republicans running, and even just about a year ago, she was getting destroyed in some of the polls. So because of that, I think this is just kind of just a reactionary to her doing decent. And these polls are from like a month or two ago too. These aren't like recent. I haven't really looked at the recent polls, but I know a few months ago there were some polls that had Gretchen Whitmer up by a few points, and everyone's kind of freaking out about Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer is still very unpopular. If we can just get a Republican to do very well in the rural parts of the state, which absolutely despise Gretchen Whitmer, and just do decently in the suburban parts of the state, any Republican, honestly, the way the national environment is looking, basically any Republican would do very well in that part of the state. So because of that, I do expect Michigan to tilt to the Republican Party. Meanwhile, I do expect the state of Minnesota to tilt to the Democrats. I think the Republicans are going to make a solid play for it. I think that the marijuana party is going to split a lot of votes. But Minneapolis has seen a lot of a large population growth. It's trending very far to the left. So I have a hard time seeing Minnesota flipping as of now. It's definitely possible, but I think as of now it's just going to be it's just a little too far. Maybe a few months from now, if there's significant polls showing the like marijuana party doing well, or the Republicans get a solid candidate, I could see Minnesota flipping Republican. But as of now, it's just I feel safer putting it as a tilt D than I do tilt R. So with that. Instead of New Mexico is also going to tilt to the Democrats. Mark Ronchetti is running an excellent campaign, and the incumbent governor is involved in these disgusting sexual assault scandals. It's absolutely disgusting. It's a big deal there, but I still think it's a little too early to tell how bad that's going to affect the race. We've seen how Democrats and Republicans, the swamp as a whole, do a very good job covering up scandals to win elections. It's something that happens all the time. So because of that, I do think it's going to be very competitive because of that scandal and because Mark Ronchetti is a solid candidate. But I just have a hard time seeing it flipping right now. It's going to be very close, don't get me wrong. And I think as of now, New Mexico is one of those states that we have a very good chance of picking up. But I don't know. I feel like the scandal it's going to have an impact on the race. But I'm just not sure. Mark Ronchetti, we have a solid Republican against the Democrat that's involved in some scandals. But it is New Mexico. And even with Hispanics trending red, Biden still won the state by like 10 points. So I don't know. I have a hard, even in R plus 6, R plus 7 year, it's still D plus 3, D plus 4. And in today's polarization, I'm really not. It's disgusting to say, but in today's polarization, I'm not really not sure how bad that scandal is going to affect some of those like suburban, resist lib, college-educated voters and like Santa Fe and Albuquerque. I think they're still going to vote Democrat just because Republicans are racist and all that good stuff. But I just have a hard time seeing it flipping. It's possible, but we're so close, but I just don't see it yet. Pennsylvania and Maine, very interesting states. I'm putting Pennsylvania in the tilt Republican column. Pennsylvania is going to be the closest state out of all the governorships, in my opinion. It's going to be very competitive. Lou Barletta is a solid nominee. I think him being on the ticket with Dr. Oz is going to help him. I think Dr. Oz is going to win by 3-4 points in Pennsylvania, in all honesty. But like I said, Lou Barletta, he's a solid Republican, but the Democrats always do have a bit of an edge in Pennsylvania. And Tom Wolf is very unpopular from what I've seen, especially considering it is Pennsylvania. Like the current governor of Pennsylvania is actually not very popular. So if Lou Barletta just capitalizes on the COVID restrictions and runs a solid campaign like Dr. Oz is doing an excellent job on capitalizing on COVID restrictions and all that good stuff. And it's not very popular in Pennsylvania at all. I mean, the Pennsylvania is a very suburban, working class state, and with the Republican favorability for the year, I just have a hard time seeing Democrats winning. I think it's going to be very competitive just because Democrats do have an edge in Pennsylvania and there are some solid candidates. But if Lou Barletta just runs a solid campaign, he points out that current governor of Pennsylvania, who, yes, he's not going to be on the ticket, but he's lieutenant governor, or any of the Democrats running, for governorship, even if Lou Barletta just paints them as like, oh, Tom Wolf did this, the Democrats are going to do this, I think he'll do decently, and he'll very narrowly win Pennsylvania. State of Maine is going to go in the tilt Democrat column. There's LePage is running, the former Republican governor of Maine. He's pretty popular, but and he was pretty popular. But I don't know. I have a hard time seeing Janet Mills losing at this time. Maine's such a very weird state to predict. it's such a weird state in general. It's like pretty much all white. It's pretty much all working class. It's pretty much have a high gun ownership, high amount of gun ownership. It's very rural, but still votes solidly Democrat. So it's such a hard state to predict. I think I think as more information comes on, I'll be able to make a more accurate prediction. But I do think that since it is the former governor and since it's going to be a Republican favorable year, Maine is going to be very competitive. But I just have a hard time seeing it flipping as of now. So with that, this is the 2022 governorship predictions. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you agree with my picks. Be sure to like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you tomorrow when we do the Senate predictions.